Don't confuse your soul and your spirit. This isn't just spiritual semantics. It's the master key to self-mastery, and our modern world has completely misplaced it. In this journey, we will unlock an ancient, universal truth, a blueprint of your inner self so precise it was understood by master architects of consciousness in Egypt, India, and the esoteric schools of the Kabbalah. This isn't about belief. It's about a functional design, a design that explains why you feel a constant war going on inside of you, the tension between your story and your source. That feeling of being your own worst enemy, you're about to discover it's just a case of mistaken identity. That inner conflict we just mentioned is not an accident. It is a symptom of a silent epidemic in our search for growth, a deep and persistent confusion that keeps so many of us feeling stuck. Have you ever set a powerful intention, felt a moment of profound clarity or inspiration, only to find yourself, days or even hours later, pulled back into the very pattern you swore to overcome? That feeling of taking one step forward and two steps back is not a personal failure. It is not a sign of weakness. The reason for this struggle, the source of this inner civil war, is that we have been navigating the most important territory of all our own consciousness with a faulty map. A map that was handed down to us by a world that has forgotten its own ancient wisdom. This map is faulty because it takes two vastly different continents of our inner world and labels them with a single vague name. And so we wander in circles, fighting shadows in the dark, wondering why we never seem to arrive at our destination of lasting inner peace. We try to calm a storm in one part of ourselves, not realizing we are using tools meant for an entirely different landscape. Modern psychology has a name for a piece of this phenomenon: the observer bias. It's our natural, almost hypnotic tendency to completely identify with whatever thought, feeling, or sensation is currently dominating our attention. In those moments, we believe we are the anger. We believe we are the anxiety. We are the fleeting joy. The story on the screen becomes our entire reality. But what if this is the core illusion? What if the most profound wisdom of our ancient past was designed to teach us one simple yet world-altering skill? The ability to step back from the drama playing out on the stage of our mind and to ask a single powerful question. Who, or what, is the one observing all of this? The answer to that question is not a simple definition, but a living discovery. It's a truth so fundamental that the great civilizations dedicated their highest minds to charting its territory. Our journey to find that answer for ourselves begins now, as we uncover the first fragment of this lost map. Our search for this lost map of consciousness begins on the sands of time, in a civilization obsessed with the science of eternity, ancient Egypt. For the priests and scribes of the Nile, the inner self was not a monolith. It was a complex, multifaceted ecosystem of different spiritual components. They gave us the first clear fragment of our map by making a crucial distinction between two of these components, the Ba and the Ka. To understand their wisdom, let's use a modern analogy. Imagine for a moment that your life is an incredibly advanced virtual reality game. The Ka is the electricity flowing from the power source. It is the pure, unseen, and universal energy that makes the entire game possible. Without it, the screen is dark, the world is lifeless. It is impersonal, constant, and it animates every single character and element within the game. This is your immortal life force, your spiritual essence. The Ba, on the other hand, is your unique avatar within that game. It's the character you have built, with a specific name, a unique appearance, a personal history, and a collection of skills, memories, and relationships. The Ba is your personality, your character, your reputation. It is everything that makes you, you. This wasn't just abstract philosophy for the Egyptians. It was a functional reality. In the British Museum today, you can see this illustrated on the famous Papyrus of Ani. In these ancient scrolls, the 𝗏 of the deceased is depicted as a bird with a human head, flying out from the tomb to revisit the world. This was the perfect symbol for the personality mobile, conscious, able to travel between the worlds of spirit and matter, yet always tied to its own unique story. The 𝗏 was the part of you that experienced life. And the 𝗏? The priests understood that this spiritual energy needed to be sustained. The offerings of food, drink, and incense left in tombs were not for a dead body. They were nourishment for the 𝗏, the energetic double that persisted after death. They knew that the spirit, the fundamental energy, needed to be honored and fed for the journey to continue. And here we find the first critical mistake that the modern world makes. We have forgotten about the electricity and have become completely obsessed with the avatar. We spend our entire lives trying to change the avatar's costume, increase its status, or polish its reputation, all while ignoring the silent, life-giving current that powers the entire experience. Confusing the two is like a player who spends the entire game agonizing over the color of their avatar's eyes, while the console's power cord is slowly unplugging from the wall. The Egyptians gave us the first critical piece of wisdom. Know your avatar, but honor the power source above all else. They gave us the avatar and the energy. But what happens when the avatar begins to believe that it is the source of energy? To understand that, we must travel from the banks of the Nile to the mystical valleys of the Indus. The Egyptian sages gave us our first fragment of the map, the avatar and the energy source that powers it. But their wisdom leads us to a deeper, more profound question. What happens when the avatar, the unique personality, begins to believe that it is the original source of its own light? For the answer, our journey takes us eastward, to the sacred texts born from the meditations of the mystics in the Indus Valley. Here, the distinction between soul and spirit was explored not just as a component of a person, but as a relationship to the entire cosmos. To grasp their insight, we must let go of the familiar metaphor of the wave and the ocean, and instead look to the stars. Imagine the soul, the 𝗔HIV, as they called it, as a single brilliant spark of light, journeying through the vastness of space. This spark has its own unique trajectory, its own color, its own temperature. Its light is shaped and filtered by the particles of cosmic dust it encounters along its path. This dust is karma, the sum of all its experiences, actions, and impressions. This is our individual soul, a beautiful, traveling point of light, defined by its unique journey. But what is the spirit? The spirit, the Atman, is the massive, primordial star from which that spark first originated. The substance of the spark and the substance of the star are, and have always been, identical. Pure, self-luminous fire. The soul is the spark on its journey. The spirit is the eternal, stellar nature of that spark. This was not a mere poetic idea for the Vedic sages. It was a truth to be realized through rigorous inner science. In one of the most ancient texts, the 𝗦𝗏𝗶𝗏, they provide a powerful meditative technique called 𝗦𝗽𝗏𝗍. It translates to, not this, not that. Through this practice, the seeker sits in stillness and observes the contents of their own experience. They look at their body and realize, I have a body, but I am not this body. 𝗦𝗽𝗏𝗍. They observe a thought, a memory, and realize, I have a mind, but I am not this mind. 𝗦𝗽𝗏𝗍. They feel a powerful emotion and realize, I have emotions, but I am not this emotion. They peel away every layer of the spark's journey, every particle of cosmic dust, every story, every sensation. And what remains when everything that can be described as this or that is gently set aside? All that is left is the silent background awareness itself, the witness, the star stuff, the Atman. And here, in one of the most profound echoes of ancient wisdom, our own modern science has stumbled upon the same truth. Astrophysics confirms that every complex atom in our bodies, the iron in our blood, the calcium in our bones, the carbon that forms our cells, was forged in the nuclear furnace of a star that lived, died, and scattered its essence across the cosmos billions of years ago. The science confirms the metaphor of the sages. You are not just made of stardust. That is the story of your jiva, the unique journey of your soul. Your very essence is the nature of a star. That is the immutable truth of your Atman, your spirit. To confuse the two is the fundamental tragedy of human existence. It causes us to live as an orphaned spark, a lonely point of light in an overwhelming darkness. We spend our entire lives frantically trying to shine brighter, to gather more dust to burn, competing with the light of other sparks. We live in a state of perpetual scarcity, forgetting that our true nature is not the fleeting glimmer, but the inexhaustible, self-sustaining fire of the star itself. So now we have the avatar and the energy from Egypt, the spark and the star from India. But how do these grand cosmic forces actually operate within the human experience, day by day, choice by choice? For this, we must turn to the third fragment of our lost map, guarded by the practical mystics of the Kabbalah, who gave us nothing less than the operating manual for the human soul. We have gathered the first two fragments of our lost map. From Egypt, we received the blueprint of the avatar and its energy source. From India, the cosmic relationship between the individual spark and its universal star. But a map is useless without an understanding of how to navigate with it. How do these forces actually operate within us, in the landscape of our daily choices, our desires, our moments of weakness and strength? For this, we turn to the final fragment, the operating manual, as understood by the practical mystics of the Kabbalah. They also gave this inner duality two names, Nephesh and Ruach. And to understand their function, they gave us the most practical analogy of all, a high-performance vehicle. Imagine the Nephesh as the vehicle's powerful V12 engine. This is our animal soul. It is the seat of our raw vitality, our instincts, our passions, our appetites, and our fundamental will to survive. The engine itself is not good or evil, it is simply power. It is inherently reactive, intimately connected to the chassis of our physical body, and it craves fuel and motion. This is our drive, our ambition, our desire. The Ruach, on the other hand, is the driver. The word Ruach literally means wind or breath, and it represents the divine consciousness within us. It is our intellect, our awareness, our capacity for moral choice, and our ability to hold a vision. The driver is the one who can read the map, understand the destination, and skillfully use the immense power of the engine to navigate the journey. This is not a New Age interpretation. This is ancient codified wisdom. The Zohar, the foundational and deeply revered text of Kabbalistic mysticism, makes this distinction with perfect clarity. It describes the Nephesh as the lowest or most foundational force, the light that animates the blood and the flesh. The Ruach, it explains, resides in the heart, the sacred center of our being, where we discern between what serves our higher purpose and what leads us astray. And this ancient model is mirrored perfectly in the modern psychology of peak performance. Think of the world's most elite athletes, artists, or visionary leaders. They do not succeed by suppressing their ambition, their competitive drive, their passionate engine. To do so would be to enter a race with a one-cylinder motor. Instead, they cultivate that powerful inner drive of the Nephesh, and they channel it with the incredible discipline, focus, and strategic vision of the Ruach. Excellence in any field does not come from a weak engine. It comes from a powerful engine, guided by a masterful driver. The great modern confusion, the source of so much self-sabotage, is that we have mistaken the roar of the engine for the voice of the driver. To confuse these two is to let the engine decide where the car will go, and the result is always the same. A chaotic journey fueled by impulse, lurching from one fleeting desire to the next. A life of reaction instead of creation. A life that inevitably either crashes or simply runs out of fuel in the middle of nowhere, having never reached a meaningful destination. And so, the fragments of our map are now on the table. We have the Egyptian avatar, the Indian star, and the Kabbalistic driver. Separated, they are fascinating lessons in history. But when we lay them on the table together, when we see how they connect, something extraordinary happens. They click into place, forming a single, coherent, and living map of your inner universe. The fragments of the lost map are now before us. From Egypt, the avatar and its life-giving energy. From India, the traveling spark and its eternal star. From the Kabbalists, the powerful engine and its divine driver. Individually, they are profound. But when we overlay them, their true power is revealed. They are not three different maps. They are three different descriptions of the same universal inner reality. Let us assemble them. On one side, we have the soul. This is the Ba, your unique avatar. It is the Jiva, the individual spark on its karmic journey. It is the Nefesh, the passionate engine that drives you. Put them together, and the universal truth becomes clear. The soul is your vehicle of experience. It is the sacred vessel designed for your journey through this life. It is, by its very nature, personal, finite, and always changing. Its divine purpose is to experience, to feel, to learn, and to evolve. It is the story. And on the other side, we have the spirit. This is the Ka, the limitless energy that powers the journey. It is the Atman, the unchanging star stuff from which you are made. It is the Ruach, the silent driver with the map to your destination. Assembled, they reveal the second universal truth. The spirit is the silent observer within the vehicle. It is the timeless, impersonal, and universal consciousness that animates the entire experience. Its divine purpose is to observe, to know, and to guide. It is the awareness that watches the story unfold. And this brings us to the very heart of the great forgetting. The fundamental illusion under which our modern world operates is this. We have become convinced that we are the car when we have always been the driver. We have spent lifetimes polishing the vehicle, agonizing over every scratch and dent, comparing it to other vehicles, and desperately trying to control its emotional engine. But our freedom was never found in perfecting the car. It was always in remembering the one who holds the wheel. The healing of our inner civil war, therefore, is not a battle to be won. It is simply a shift in identity. A gentle, conscious choice to stop identifying with the temporary, reactive vehicle of the soul, and to remember our true nature as the calm, ever-present driver of the spirit. The goal is not to silence the engine, but for the driver to finally and lovingly take command. The lost map is now assembled. We have moved from intellectual understanding to a profound, intuitive recognition of our own inner design. But knowledge, as the ancient sages knew, is only a rumor until it lives in the body. So how do we take this sacred blueprint and use it to navigate the complexities of our daily lives? For this, we need one final, powerful metaphor, a tool for practical, moment-to-moment application. Think of your consciousness as a grand old cinema. Your soul is the film being played. It is the epic story of your life, with all its dramatic twists and turns. It has its heroes and its villains, its moments of heartbreaking tragedy and breathtaking triumph. It is colorful, loud, captivating, and saturated with emotion. This film is your personal story, your karma, your unique journey. It is sacred and it is yours alone. Your spirit, however, is the pure, silent, and unwavering light of the projector. Without that light, the film, no matter how dramatic, could never be seen. But the light itself never becomes the film. The light does not get angry during the battle scenes. It does not feel sorrow during the moments of loss. It is not changed, stained, or diminished by the content of the story it illuminates. It simply and constantly provides the field of impartial awareness in which the entire movie of your life can unfold. And here lies the most practical secret of all. The source of our suffering is not the content of the film. The source of our suffering is that we have left our seat in the projection booth climbed into the screen, and mistaken ourselves for one of the actors in the drama. So, this is the practice. We can call it the way of the conscious filmmaker. The next time a powerful emotion arises, a wave of anxiety, a surge of anger, a familiar loop of a painful memory, the next time the film becomes particularly intense, your task is not to try and cut the scene or fight the actors on the screen. Instead, simply and gently, shift your focus. Move your attention from the drama unfolding on the screen to the silent, steady light in the projection booth. Feel that quiet, constant presence behind your eyes, the one that is aware of the emotion, but is not the emotion itself. And from that place, from the stillness of the projection booth, ask the key question: am I lost in the story, or am I aware of the light that illuminates it? This single question is the master key. It is the practical application of the entire ancient map, and its effects are immediate. You stop sabotaging yourself because you realize you are not the flawed character in the movie. You are the awareness watching it. You are no longer at the mercy of your emotional storms, because you remember you are the calm, spacious sky in which they appear. Suddenly, spiritual practices like meditation begin to work, because the goal is no longer to desperately try and stop the film from playing. The goal is simply to become more familiar with the quiet, steady light of the projector, regardless of what film is playing today. This is the path to freedom, not by erasing your story, but by remembering who you are in relation to it. So, do not confuse the film with the light. Your soul is your sacred story. It deserves to be honored, felt, and understood. But your spirit is the timeless consciousness that allows the story to be told in the first place. You are not one or the other. You are both, engaged in a divine dance. The great sage Nisargadatta Maharaj captured this paradox with perfect wisdom when he said, "Wisdom tells me I am nothing. Love tells me I am everything. And between the two, my life flows." Your spirit is the wisdom of that boundless, formless nothingness. Your soul is the love for the everything that is your unique personal experience. Your life is the beautiful flow between them. From this day forward, remember that your true spiritual work is not to fix your spirit, for it was never broken. It is to heal and understand your soul, so that the pure, undistorted light of your spirit can finally shine through. The lost map is now in your hands, but it is not a static object. It is a living document, and you are its cartographer. With every conscious choice, with every moment you choose to shift from the screen to the projector, you add detail and clarity to your own inner world. So, begin to draw your map. In the comments below, share one moment you had while seeing this map assembled. Which fragment, the Egyptian, the Vedic, or the Kabbalistic, most illuminated your path? Your insight is a lantern for all of us on this journey.